Welcome to Introduction to Recording Final Cut Pro X tutorial on how to sync audio and video. First we're going to open up Final Cut Pro, so I'm going to do a little organizing first. Create a folder, call it today, 2016-11-28 FCPX demo, and we'll move these files right in there. I'm just click dragging them, and if you hold down Command while you do it, they'll move the files as opposed to copying the files. Now we'll go back to Final Cut Pro. It's looking for me to open a library, but I'll just say I want to create a new library. We'll take that folder that we just created, and we'll call this the FCPX demo. I'm naming the Final Cut Pro bundle and putting it in this folder. So everything for this project is going to be in a single folder. So background tasks is open right now. It's a little different from how I usually set it up. So if you go up to Window and say revert to original layout, it'll give you the usual layout for what Final Cut Pro X looks like. And you can see up here on the left is the Final Cut Pro X demo that we just created. If we look back in the Finder, we'll see there's the bundle. So it's pretty small right now, and all of our clips are actually external to this package. But if you right click on it and say Package Contents, you can see inside of the package. It's actually just a folder, and I'll use this little bit down here to get back. If you can't see this little status bar here, you just go up to View and say Show Status Bar, or Path Bar. I think that's the path bar. Great, so what we want to do is take this video clip and these audio clips and sync them up and then create an output from Final Cut. So in Final Cut, we'll have to import the media, and we'll also have to create a new project. So I like to import the media first because there's this nice button up there. I'll just navigate to where I was and select all three of these. I'm hitting Shift to select them all and say Import Selected. And I'm going to choose to leave the files in place instead of copying them to the library because I already have them in the folder that I want them to be in. So we'll go ahead and import those. The import screen goes away as it's importing, and if I click on this a little bit here, I can see that it's generating the audio waveforms as a background task. And that will allow us to see the audio waveforms. So a little bit about the browser window up here. There's a sidebar where you can see all of your libraries. We can open and close that. There's two different views. This is what is that? Film strip view, and this is the list view. I usually do the film strip view, and then you can drag the slider all the way to the left so that you can see all of your bits here. Now, every once in a while you might accidentally select a portion of it, then you have to go and move the mouse to the edge and drag it, and move the mouse to the other edge and drag it in order to select the whole clip. So what we want to do then is select all of these clips. I'm just going to lasso them, so I'm just click dragging to lasso them all, and then right click on them and click on Synchronize Clips. And it'll automatically give it a name. Here, we'll get rid of this window. And we're going to say yes, we want to use audio for synchronization. So you hit OK, and it'll begin to synchronize the clip. Now it's created this extra clip here that we can right click on and say Open in Timeline, and we'll just verify that everything worked out okay. Because these three recorders were all done at the same time. So now I have three separate recorders and the original audio. And now that I can see the audio here, I can see that it lines up. So what I'll want to do is turn off the audio for a couple of these. I think we'll probably just keep the first one here. And the way to do that is to select the clip that you want to turn the audio off for, and then go over here to this little sliders button. It's called the inspector. Keyboard shortcut is Command 4. And up at the top there's three tabs: Video, Audio, and Info. If it's just an audio region that you're selecting, it will only have Audio and Info. And Info is where you can change the name of it, and Audio would be where you could turn off the audio for that clip. So we're going to turn off the audio for the video clip, and I'll turn off the audio for, I'm going to shift click and do these both at the same time. So then you'll see the waveforms go away, and now when we play, it should just be one audio track. And the audio sync looks really good. If it wasn't good, I could click on this single clip and nudge it. I forget what the nudge. There it is. So it's under trim, and you can nudge it left or nudge it right. And those are comma and period. So if you click on it and hit comma, it'll nudge it to the left, and if you hit period, it'll nudge it to the right. And you can just try that to see how the sync works up if it wasn't already correct. When you're using the built-in audio on the camera, the audio will always be correct because it's already aligned with the video. So syncing up other audio tracks will end up being perfectly in time. Now that we've gone through and synced up the audio, we're going to want to edit out just the piece that we're trying to export because we don't need all the beginning here. And I'm moving the playhead by just clicking up in the time area at the top, the time ruler. So I want to create my new project. I don't have one up here yet, and my new project button is gone. You can find it under File, New, Project, or Command N, and that'll create a new project. We'll call this my FCPX demo. And then you can just click on this region and drag it into the timeline. You can zoom in and out with the slider here so that you can see the entire region. If you want to zoom in vertically, you can click on the little film strip here and turn up the clip height. That allows you to see a bit more on the screen. If I hit the S key on the keyboard, it allows me to scroll, so anywhere I move my mouse, it will play. And you can turn that off up here. So there's a couple options at the upper right here. Audio skimming, video skimming, solo selected items, and snapping. I don't usually use solo, but I'll turn snapping on sometimes. So we just want to cut at the beginning here. Let's find the beginning. You can use the letters J, K, and L. K is pause, L is play forward, J is play backwards. And I usually find the first note and go 3 seconds back. 1, 2, 3. And you press the letter I to set an in point. And then we're going to find the end of this piece by playing through. And I'll just keep hitting L, it plays faster each time. And I'll hit K to pause it when I get there. So, hitting J to go back a bit. So here's the last note. Turn my volume up a little. And I'll be fading to about here. And then I'll press O to set the out point. It wasn't exactly right, but now that I've set those 2 points, what I actually need to do is cut here. So I'm going to hit Command B, and that cuts on that point. Oh, I lost my in point. That's okay, I'll just find it again. 1, 2, 3. Set the cut. Great, and now I'm going to just delete the stuff I don't need by clicking on it and pressing delete. Now I'm going to want to insert a slug at the end here so I can fade to black. The keyboard shortcut is Option W. And if I zoom in, Command plus, you can see here's the slug. It's just silent and black screen, but that allows you to have something to fade to. If I hit Shift Z, it'll zoom into everything in the timeline. And then Command A selects everything, Command T will put crossfades in automatically, or I can undo that and put in the crossfades by hand by clicking on the little cross or transitions tool, choosing all, and then choosing cross dissolve, and you just drag this over top of the clip. I'll hit Shift Z again to fit it into where I am. There's the cross dissolve again, and let's see, if I turn off skimming by pressing S and hit home, I'll be at the beginning. Spacebar hits play. I can see I've got my fade in. That's pretty good. If you wanted to tweak that a little more, you could zoom in on it. Let's see, up and down arrows will move from one edit to the next. So if I hit home, it goes to the beginning, end goes to the end. So we'll hit home, Command plus, and I can see my fade right here. If you select the fade and press Control E, it opens the precision editor, and that allows you to move the fade wherever you want it. So if I wanted it a little earlier, or if I moved to the edge of the fade and I wanted it a little longer, I can change the fade there. And then you can hit Control E again to leave the precision editor, or there's a little button down here, close precision editor. Now I can preview that. It's a little better. We got rid of the silence at the beginning. And then we'll check the fade at the end. Let's see. Close this down, hit Shift-Z, click up on the timeline, and I'll zoom in a bit. Make sure that fade out is good. That was perfect, and there's a little bit of silence at the end. So that looks great. We'll set our out point here, hit home, set the in point, Shift-Z to see everything, and that's what we're going to export. One other thing to fix is the audio is a little quiet, so to boost the gain, we can click on our effects channel over here and go to levels. And I like to use the adaptive limiter. Just drag it over top of the clip, and then if you click on the clip, you'll see it up here under audio. So there's the adaptive limiter. I can turn on the settings here for it. You never want to add gain with these. You'd always want to add the gain under the input scale. And I like to set the out ceiling to -0.1 just to be safe. The waveform will redraw, and you can play it at the loudest points, and you can actually click on the and that's much louder now. Might be a little too loud. Let's try that loud part again. No, it's good because it's peaking out about 2 dB down, and that's about the loudest point. So I could actually get 2 decibels louder. I could add a gain in here by dragging the gain effect over the region. You can reorder these by dragging gain to before adaptive limiter, and then you can open the gain up. What did I say? 2 decibels. So click on that and add another 2 decibels. So now when we check this spot, it goes right up to 0. And we're hitting a real nice level without really clipping the limiter too much. So that's what I wanted to do. I've got my fade in, my audio is good, and then my fade out. If you wanted to change the exposure of the video, you could click on the region again, go to video. Oh, I have to click off of it first to just get the region. And you can go to color correction here. There's color, there's exposure, and you can press Command 7 to see. Let's see, I'm going to get rid of this, get rid of this. If I hit Control Command 1, that'll close the bin over here. And if I move my timeline around and view this as a waveform, I can go through and set my levels for exposure. There's the top, you want it to not be anything over 100, and the bottom, nothing below 0. And then you can do this. I'm actually going to make my screen brighter. This you just do to eye, so that it looks pretty good. I'm adding a good bit of gain. It was pretty dark on stage. And then to do color balancing, and this is all just extra, this brightening and color balancing bit, you can crop it to just skin. Let's see, let's find some skin and hit done. Oops, not trim, but crop. There we go. And then you can use the vector scope, and this should be right on the line if it's flesh colored. All flesh is the same color. So we can go back to our color correction tool, go to color, and just move the global until, looking over here, this is on the line. And so we'll move it a little bit until we have the right color skin, and then we can leave here and turn off our crop tool. Now going full screen, we can see that the color is correct for this. So it doesn't look too washed out. I think this looks pretty good considering the light that we had. It's always good to have extra light when you're recording. You've got an orange bar above in the timeline that shows that it's rendering, and if we click on this percentage here, it shows us that it's partway through rendering, and that's a background render. We don't need to wait for it to finish. We can go ahead and export our region. So again, set the in and out points by hitting Home, I to set the in point, End, O to set the out point. You can see this yellow bit around it. If it's not yellow, you just click on it to make sure it is. And then we'll go up to File and say Share, and we're going to share a master file. So under Settings, the Settings tab, we'll choose Video and Audio. And for the video codec, it'll be defaulted to source, but you'll want to change that to H.264. H.264 is like an MP3 file, but for video. So it's a compressed, smaller video file. It's still high definition, and the quality is still very good. But we're going to use these types of files because otherwise they would be really large, and you wouldn't get much back because of the size. That's just the size that you want them at if you're going to edit them. And when done, you don't want it to do anything. We're not using chapter markers. We would use that if we were creating a DVD. And for rolls, we want to leave that as a QuickTime movie. We're creating a .mov file. Then we can go back to the Info tab and give it a name. FCPX demo is okay. And when we click on Next, it'll ask us where we want to save this file and what we want to name the file. Again, so we'll just leave that in the folder that we've already created, and we'll hit Save. And that will export out this minute and 30 of video, and then we'll have our file, which will be right here. You can see it's already starting to create it. And that's how you sync up audio and video in Final Cut Pro X. Hope this video was helpful.